Ladies and gentlemen, he is a man whose words strike like lightning and awaken sleeping souls. A legal scholar, a patriot, a Pan-African torchbearer, and a fierce critic of corruption and mental slavery. For decades, he has challenged the status quo, called out hypocrisy, and urged African youth to rise with courage, discipline, and purpose. He does not speak for applause. He speaks to ignite minds, to inspire action, to shake the foundations of complacency. His voice is not merely motivational, it is revolutionary. Across Africa and beyond, he is known not just as a professor of law, but as a professor of truth. In a world full of noise, his message cuts through with clarity. Africa must awaken. Its youth must rise, and the time to act is now. Prepare yourself to hear not just a speech, but a call to transformation. When you look into the mirror each morning, do you see a body or do you see potential? Do you see a victim of the world or the answer to its problems? The truth, my brothers and sisters, is that the greatest revolution does not begin in the streets. It begins within. The most powerful weapon in the world is not a gun, not an army, not even a government. It is a mind that is aware of its power. The tragedy of our time is not that we are powerless. It is that we have been conditioned to believe we are. But the power is within you, and until you recognize it, you will continue to walk like giants with bent backs. Look around you, the world is full of noise. People are waiting for saviors, for handouts, for leaders to come from distant lands. But the era of waiting is over. Africa will not rise because the West decided to help us. Africa will rise when Africans rise, when our youth realize that they are not children of weakness, but descendants of warriors, builders, kings, and queens. We were not born to be ruled, we were born to lead. We were not made to follow blindly, we were designed to think critically. The power to change your life, your family, your nation, and your continent lies not in a ballot box, not in foreign aid, not in promises. It lies within you. You see, power is not something you acquire, it is something you awaken. It has always been there, but it sleeps when you believe the lie that you are less. It sleeps when you wait for others to define your worth. It sleeps when you fear to try, when you hesitate to dream, when you choose safety over destiny. But let me tell you this, the fire is already in your bones. The light is already in your mind. The courage is already in your heart. You do not need to import it. You need to unlock it. Why is it that some rise from the dust and become giants while others sit on thrones of excuses? It is not luck. It is not fate. It is realization. Those who rise are those who realize what they carry inside. Those who lead are those who understand that before the world believes in them, they must believe in themselves. You were born with ideas, gifts, talents, and the ability to create. But if you spend your life waiting for validation, for permission, for someone to come and open doors for you, then your power will rot unused. No man or woman who ever changed history did so by playing small. The greatest among us are not always the most educated, the most connected, or the most privileged. They are those who dared to believe they mattered. They are those who took one step even when they did not see the full staircase. They are those who looked at their reflection and declared, "I am enough to begin." That is the difference between history makers and history watchers, between leaders and followers, between those who live by fear and those who live by fire. I am here to remind you that the lion does not need permission to roar. The eagle does not wait for the storm to pass, it rises on the wind. And you must stop asking for permission to be great. You must stop hiding your brilliance under blankets of doubt. You must stop apologizing for dreaming too big. The world does not fear your poverty, it fears your power. And that is why systems are built to distract you, to divide you, to drain you. Because a young African who knows their power is unstoppable, but knowing is not enough. You must act. Knowing your power means you no longer make excuses. It means you stop blaming your past, your parents, your government, your environment. Yes, the road is hard. Yes, the system is broken. Yes, the weight is heavy, but you carry the solution. You carry the blueprint. You carry the power. Stop outsourcing your future to others. Stop waiting for change. Become the change, become the voice, become the spark that sets the fire, because once you recognize your power, no force on earth can silence you. You are not a mistake. You are not weak. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are powerful. You are born for this moment. Rise up and take your place, because the power has always been within you. Now is the time to unlock it. The chains that hold us today are not made of iron or steel. They are not wrapped around our wrists or ankles. No, the most dangerous chains are invisible. They are in the mind. They whisper that you are not good enough. They tell you that your dreams are too big. They convince you that greatness belongs to others. This is mental slavery, and it is more powerful than physical chains because it makes you police your own potential. Mental slavery is when you believe that your skin color defines your limits. It is when you think that success must come from the West. It is when you imitate without questioning, follow without thinking, and fear without reason. It is when you consume everything the world gives you, but produce nothing of your own. It is when your mouth speaks, but your mind is silent. That is the war we must fight, not with guns, not with bombs, but with clarity, awareness, and courage. Look at the world we live in. We have access to knowledge like never before. We can read, we can learn, we can speak, yet so many still live as if their minds are owned by others. They accept mediocrity because excellence seems foreign. They celebrate others but fear their own reflection. And when they dare to rise, voices from within and outside say, "Who do you think you are?" That is the voice of mental slavery. It does not want you to lead. It does not want you to question. It wants you to remain in line, obedient, dependent, silent. But the time for silence has passed. You cannot lead a revolution when your mind is in chains. You cannot build a nation when your thoughts are borrowed. You cannot rise when your spirit is bent. We must begin by reclaiming the mind. We must challenge the lies we were taught, that we are inferior, that we are violent, that we are hopeless. These are not truths, they are tools of control. They were designed to make us doubt our own reflection. When you look at history, the greatest victories began with a mental shift. When the enslaved realized they were men, not property. When the colonized realized they were capable, not cursed. When the oppressed realized they were powerful, not pitiful. That realization is where freedom begins, not on the battlefield, but in the mind. You must declare war on every thought that says you are less. You must fight every voice that tells you to shrink, because until the battle in the mind is won, every other victory will collapse. This is why education is so powerful. Not just academic education, but mental liberation. True education teaches you how to think, not what to think. It teaches you how to question, not just how to memorize. A mind that is free does not fear failure, it sees it as part of the journey. A mind that is free does not imitate blindly, it innovates boldly. And a people who are mentally free are impossible to control, because they do not follow blindly, they lead bravely. Today, many walk with degrees, but remain mentally enslaved. They speak foreign languages, but have no voice of their own. They wear expensive clothes, but have no dignity. They live in cities, but think like captives. That is the cost of neglecting the mind. That is why this is not just about politics, or economics, or power. It is about consciousness. Because if we do not awaken, we will decorate our cages and call them homes. To break free from mental slavery, you must begin by rejecting the narrative that you are a victim. Yes, we have been wronged. Yes, we have been exploited, but we must never stay in the posture of the wounded. We are not just survivors, we are warriors. We are thinkers, we are builders, we are dreamers, and once you understand that your mind is the most sacred territory, you will guard it fiercely. You will choose what enters, what grows, and what must be uprooted. This journey will not be easy. The world does not applaud free minds. The system thrives when you are distracted, not when you are awakened. But even if the world calls you mad, even if your own people call you arrogant, you must stay on the path. Because the price of staying mentally enslaved is far greater than the discomfort of awakening. We must think beyond survival. We must build with vision. We must speak with clarity. And above all, we must truly believe that we were born to be free. Once the mind is free, the body will follow. Once the thoughts are pure, the actions will align. And once the people awaken, no force on earth can hold them back. We live in a time where emotions dominate actions, where people move not by logic or purpose, but by impulse and convenience. But hear this, without discipline there is no greatness. Without self-control, power becomes poison. You can have strength, talent, and intelligence, but without discipline, you are a weapon turned against yourself. To unlock your true potential, you must first conquer your own spirit. This is the quiet war not against others, but against the undisciplined self. Discipline is not about denial, it is about direction. It is the ability to say no when yes feels good but leads to destruction. It is the power to remain steady when storms rise. It is the commitment to keep moving forward even when no one is watching. Because the real battle is not in the public eye. It is in the private hours when nobody sees, when you choose whether to rise or sleep, build or waste, speak or be silent. A disciplined mind can withstand any pressure. A disciplined heart does not jump for every temptation, and a disciplined soul does not beg for approval, it walks in purpose. But many today confuse comfort with peace, pleasure with fulfillment, and freedom with recklessness. That is the confusion of the modern world. It has glorified self-expression, but forgotten self-mastery. True freedom comes not from doing whatever you want, but from mastering your wants. The one who has no control over their emotions, their habits, their urges is not free. They are a prisoner of themselves. If anger can move you to destroy what you've built, you are not free. If laziness can silence your vision, you are not free. If distractions can pull you from your purpose, then you are a slave to the trivial. But if you rise each day and align your actions with your mission, if you resist what weakens you and embrace what strengthens you, then you are walking the path of true leadership. Those who changed the world were not those who did everything, they were those who mastered one thing, themselves. They chose purpose over popularity. They chose vision over noise. They chose effort over ease. The athlete wakes early to train not because he enjoys the pain, but because the prize is worth the pain. The leader disciplines his words not because he lacks emotion, but because he understands the weight of every sentence. And the thinker guards his time not because he is arrogant, but because he understands the value of each moment. Discipline is choosing growth over gratification. It is rising when excuses say lie down. It is preparing when others relax. It is holding your tongue when your ego wants to shout. That is not weakness, that is power. In a world that celebrates indulgence, restraint is revolutionary, and you must become a revolutionary in your own life. Do not wait for motivation to strike. Discipline is stronger than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline remains. You may not feel like building today, but build anyway. You may not feel like learning today, but learn anyway. You may not feel like leading, but lead anyway, because consistency is the mother of progress. And no one ever rose to greatness by doing what they felt like every day. The ones who built nations, who stood against empires, who ignited revolutions, they were not always the strongest or the smartest. They were the most disciplined. They mastered themselves before they tried to lead others. They delayed gratification. They chose responsibility over comfort, and in doing so they became unshakable. You must now do the same. Let your mornings be sacred. Let your thoughts be clear. Let your habits be intentional. Train your body, sharpen your mind, purify your heart, not for the applause of the world, but for the calling within you. Because the moment you master yourself, no enemy outside can defeat you. The time for excuses is over. The time for blaming others is gone. If you want to rise, you must build discipline like a fortress. Because when the storms of life come, and they will come, it is not talent that saves you, it is not emotion that protects you, it is discipline, it is the power to stand firm, focused, and faithful, even when everything around you shakes. If you truly want to lead, if you truly want to rise, then look in the mirror and begin the greatest revolution of all, the conquest of the self. We are not born to merely exist. We are born to ignite change, to disturb the silence of injustice, to confront the comfort of mediocrity. But the tragedy of our generation is not ignorance, it is cowardice. It is the silence of the wise, the passivity of the capable, and the fear of the gifted. People with fire in their bones have allowed fear to turn them into shadows of what they were meant to be. But the time has come to wake up. The time has come to rise with courage and conviction and unlock the power that lies dormant within. Change does not begin with a crowd. It begins with an individual with the courage to stand alone. A man or woman who looks at oppression and says, "Not on my watch." A soul that refuses to bow to corruption. A voice that chooses truth even when truth is dangerous. We must stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for someone to save us. The Savior is not coming from the sky. The Savior is within you. Your heart carries the spark of transformation. Your voice can shape destinies. Your decisions can break chains. But only if you choose to act with conviction. Look at the history of every revolution, every movement, every liberation. They were not started by crowds. They were started by the brave, by those who believed that one person could shift the tide. And they were right. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in spite of fear, and conviction is not stubbornness, it is clarity of purpose even when the world mocks you. Together, courage and conviction can shake mountains, dismantle empires, and rewrite the story of a people. You must choose today. Will you live quietly in the shadows, or will you rise boldly into the light? Will you be a prisoner of comfort, or will you be a warrior of purpose? You cannot change the world by blending in. You cannot unlock your power while chained to approval. Those who stand for something must be willing to stand alone, and those who speak truth must be ready to be misunderstood, but do it anyway, because the cost of silence is greater than the pain of standing up. A continent cannot rise if its sons and daughters kneel to fear. There are too many sleeping giants walking around with open eyes, too many warriors in disguise as beggars, too many kings and queens who have traded their thrones for popularity and praise. Enough, awaken your strength, speak your truth, act with purpose. If the world burns around you, be the fire that purifies, not the one that destroys. Let your courage be contagious. Let your conviction be unshakable. Because when one person stands with courage, others remember they have legs too. You say the system is broken. Then why do you still wait for permission from the same system to fix it? If your leaders betray you, then lead yourself. If your institutions crumble, then build new ones. If your future looks dark, then be the light. Do not complain if you are not willing to fight. Do not mourn if you are not ready to build, because the future is not something we inherit. It is something we create, and the only question is, will you create it in fear or with fire? Remember, people will doubt you. They will laugh at your vision. They will say you are too young, too different, too bold. Let them speak, but while they speak, you build. While they laugh, you lead. While they rest, you rise. Because history does not remember the loudest. It remembers the most courageous, and you were born to be remembered. Not for your silence, but for your stand. Not for your fear, but for your fire. You are not here by accident. You are not alive by chance. Your life is a message, a weapon, a force. Use it. The world will not change with your wishes. It will change with your will. It will change when you decide that enough is enough, that you will no longer be a spectator in your own story. The stage is yours. The moment is now. The question is not whether you are ready. The question is, will you rise? Because those who unlock the power within are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who ignite. And when you ignite with courage and conviction, the world has no choice but to follow.